Welcome back to another video, and today we got episode 6 of MLB All Around. We're about 10 days away from the end of the regular season. We're about a little less than 2 weeks away from the start of the playoffs, start of the wild card round, and we got a lot to talk about today. We got big wild card races, big series happening around the league right now, and just kind of a bunch of storylines to cover. We got divisional races. We got teams finally starting to get eliminated from the playoffs, start clinching playoff spots. We actually had a team clinch a division already. So yeah, there's a lot to cover here. Real quick though, before we get started, make sure you subscribe if you're new. We're doing these videos every single week, just to kind of gear up towards the playoffs. And we might start doing 2 a week if the wild card races get really crazy, because we got to keep you guys updated. And we also do college football videos every Tuesday, NFL videos every Wednesday. We do college basketball and NBA when those seasons are going. So if any of that interests you, subscribe, turn on the noties. But let's go ahead and look at the American League standings at this point. The AL East, the Blue Jays still at the top. I think it's safe to say the Blue Jays are probably going to hang on. They do have kind of a tougher schedule, though, coming up, I think. They play the Royals, the Red Sox, and the Rays as their last 3 series. Not terrible. That Red Sox series is pretty big for the Red Sox, more specifically than the Blue Jays. But as long as they take care of business, I'd like to say that they would win this division. The Yankees are right behind them. We'll see if they can go ahead and hold on here. They did just lose a game to the Twins, but they won the other 2. They also just came off a series win against the Red Sox. The Yankees have been playing a lot of good teams recently. The Astros, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Red Sox, and they've looked pretty good in doing so. Yeah, I think the Yankees are going to be fine. Cody Bellinger just has been hitting home runs. Trent Grisham's been really good this year. Anthony Volpe looks like he's solid after he came back after they, gave him some time off. The Red Sox at 83 and 70. We got to talk about the Red Sox because they are right now the last wild card team in the American League, but they got the Guardians right behind them. The Guardians are probably, the only team that has like a realistic shot to catch them. I guess the Rangers could. They're 4 games back, but we'll talk about the Rangers in a little bit. But I think the Guardians are the team that I'd be, most concerned about, just because the Guardians are so hot right now. They're on a 7-game win streak. The Rays, 3 games under 500. I don't think they're going to be doing much. They're 8 games out of the wild card at this point. It's only a matter of time before, it's probably a day or 2 before they get eliminated. The Orioles did get eliminated. They've got some promise heading into next year. They've been playing pretty well as of recently. Moving on over to the AL Central, we're just going to kind of go all over the place here. The Sox have been eliminated for a while. The Twins finally get eliminated. They sold at the deadline. Not too surprised. They're 20 games under 500. The Royals, 7 games back of the Red Sox. Kind of the same thing with the Rays. It's only a matter of time, I think, before they get eliminated. I don't think they have a real shot. They're also 3 and 7 in their last 10. They have not been closing out very well. There was a time where they were second in this division and they were, right there for a wild card spot, could potentially sneak in. Not anymore, though. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. The Tigers at the top of this division, they're only 3.5 games ahead. The Guardians, if they keep playing like this, maybe they can catch them. It's kind of a long shot. Although I will say the Tigers, 3 and 7 in their last 10, have not been playing very well as of recently. Kerry Carpenter's been pretty good, though. I think the Tigers did actually just play the Guardians, and the Guardians swept them. That's not a good thing. If you're a Tigers fan, obviously you're coming off a series loss to the Mets, who don't look very good. A series loss to the White Sox. Obviously they haven't been playing very well. They did win the series against the Yankees, but then they lost the series to the Marlins, and then just recently got swept by the Guardians. The Tigers also coming up against the Braves. The Braves have been kind of hot as of recently. The Tigers kind of have a tough stretch to close it out here. The home series against the Braves, a road series against the Guardians, that's huge for them, and then another road series against Boston. Those are 2 teams that are needing wins. That's Boston and Cleveland. And the Braves, I will say, have been looking solid as of recently. So the Tigers, could we see some magic happen? Could the Guardians jump them? I wouldn't be, insanely surprised. I do still predict the Tigers will win this division, but the Guardians are right there, man, and we'll talk about them on a 7-game win streak right now. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They've been playing lights out baseball as of recently. Just swept the Guardians, like I said. Just swept the White Sox. Just won a series against the Royals. Just swept the Rays. Just won the series against the Rays. The Guardians have been really good, man. In this past month of baseball here, they have been a really solid team, which is, they have, one of the lower offensive statistics per, for a whole team in the league. But as of recently, man, they have been so good. And yeah, baseball is one of those sports where going into the playoffs, you kind of just have to be the hottest team to get it done. We saw that with the Diamondbacks when they made the World Series as a 6 seed. We saw that with the Phillies. I think they made the World Series as a 6 seed. The seeding really just doesn't matter in the playoffs, in all honesty. Yeah, so if the Guardians do end up getting in the playoffs over the Red Sox, I would not want to play them. They are red hot right now. Moving over to the AL West, speaking of red hot, the Mariners are probably even hotter. They just came off an 11-game win streak, I believe. Yeah, all of a sudden, they're in control of this division now. They are tied with the Astros. But the Astros have not been as good as the Mariners have recently. To talk about the Mariners, right now they got a series starting tomorrow. A 3-game set on the road against the Astros. Then they got the Rockies. Hopefully they can sweep the Rockies. They kind of need to. And then they have a home series against the Dodgers. 2 tough series in there. The Rocky series helps them. But that road series against the Astros is critical here coming up. We'll see what happens there. That's huge. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. Cal Raleigh did just break the record for most home runs by a switch hitter in a season. He also just tied Ken Griffey's record for most home runs by a Mariner. We'll see if he can get to 60. He has been absolutely electric. The Astros right there as well with the Mariners. We'll see what happens. They did just sweep the Rangers, who were kind of vying for a wild card spot, kind of trying to sneak in. The Astros have been pretty solid all year. I think overall, I don't know who I'd say overall is the better team. I think maybe the Astros I would trust more, but the Mariners are so hot right now. If I had to pick who's better, I'd say the Mariners, but it is very close. The Rangers are kind of that next closest team besides the Guardians to get into the wild card spot. I think there's still a chance. They're not like the Royals and the Rays where they're 7-8 games back. They're only 4 games back. I know there's only like 8 games left in the season, or 8 or 9 depending on which team, 8, 9, 10. I think the Rangers could get in. It's going to take a lot of help. Let's look at their schedule, actually. I'm not sure who they have. They got the Marlins, the Twins, and then the Guardians to close out. So, they could do it. The Marlins are, not terrible, actually. The Twins, they would need to probably sweep the Twins, and then if they can win those 3 against the Guardians, if they can win 2 of those 3, that would help a lot. So we'll see. The Rangers may be able to get in. We're not going to talk too much about the A's and the Angels. The Angels are bad. I think they're the worst team in this division. The A's have some promise, like I've been saying, but ultimately both these teams have been eliminated from the playoffs. The NL, interesting to look at here. The Phillies are the first team to clinch their division, and I think they will be the only team to have clinched their division for the next couple of days at least, because not, a lot of teams have as big of a lead as them. They're 12 games ahead of the Mets right now. Everyone else is either tied or I guess the next closest is the Brewers with a 5-game lead, but that's still, a couple days away from clinching. The Phillies look really good, man. Schwarber, he's one of the league leaders in home runs, 53 on the season. Trey Turner, I think, has the batting title right now. Obviously, Zach Wheeler going down for the season hurts their overall upside, but I still think they're one of the best teams in the league, maybe the best team in the league. There was a point a couple days ago where the Phillies were tied with the Brewers, or a half game back from that 1 seed in the NL. So that's something to keep an eye on. Can they get there? They're now 2.5 games back, so I'm not sure if they'll be able to get back. But if they keep playing how they're playing, there's definitely a chance. The Brewers are 6-4 in their last 10. The Phillies are 8-2. The Phillies have been good all season, but they're getting hot. They just won a series against the Dodgers on the road. That's pretty big. So I like how the Phillies are playing right now. I don't like how the Mets are playing right now. They're 3-7 in their last 10, and the Mets currently have the last wild card spot in the NL. But don't look now. here come the Diamondbacks, who sold almost everything at the deadline. Only 2 games back of the Mets. That's very doable. The Reds, only 2.5 games back. That's also very doable. Same thing with the Giants, 2.5 games back. I think once you get past that, there's teams like the Cardinals, the Marlins, 5-6 games back. I don't know if they'll have enough to get in, but you never know. And the Braves as well, 9 games back. The Braves have been playing very good as of recently. I don't know if they will end up getting in, but they're on a 5-game win streak. They probably won't get in. They're gonna have to win out. But I like their promise for the next season when they're fully healthy, because they still have a very talented team. But yeah, the Mets really got to focus up here. You cannot be going. You cannot be playing this poorly. When you need it most. They did just win a series against the Padres though, so maybe I'm wrong, but not really. They're coming off a series loss to the Reds, which is pretty big. They got swept 4 games by the Phillies. They lost 2 of 3 to the Rangers. They did just win 2 of 3 against the Padres. So we'll see if the Mets can hold on. It's going to be very fun to watch. Let's see who they have left. Nationals, Cubs, and Marlins. Yeah, that's pretty manageable. Besides, the Cubs is going to be tough. Yeah, and we kind of already touched on the Marlins and the Braves. The Nationals and the Pirates, I forgot to add, are eliminated from the playoffs, so you don't see the red there. But the Nationals, Pirates have been eliminated from the playoffs. I will say the Pirates have some pieces. We'll see what they do. We'll see if they end up trading Skeens. That's obviously the big thing. The Nationals, though, I like their future. They got a lot of guys over there that I think could be something, very interesting. I think, in the next couple of years, the Nationals kind of remind me of the A's a little bit. I might be a little more excited about the A's, but we will see. Moving to the NL Central, the Brewers is at the top. It looks like they're going to win this division. It's only a couple more days, only a couple more games need to be played for them to clinch with the Cubs. But I will say the Brewers and the Cubs, congrats to them. Besides the Phillies, they are the only teams in the league to have clinched playoff spots at this point. So clap it up for them. I think it's only a matter of time before the Brewers do end up clinching this division, unless the Cubs have something to say about it, which they very well might. They're getting hot right now, and I would not want to play, this Cubs team in Wrigley in October. We know how that can go, and especially if they're getting hot, especially if PCA's getting back to what he was, which it looks like he is. That's scary for a lot of teams. We saw how lethal this offense was early in the season when all the guys were hitting just crazy numbers. And if PCA is getting back to what he was, that is huge for the Cubs. Now, Michael Busch has been great. Nico Horner's been great the whole time. Same thing with Ian Happ. Ian Happ hasn't done anything much all year, and he's getting hot right now. I would be a little worried if I was some of these teams in the NL. Maybe it's just because I'm a Cubs fan, but I'm being objective, and I do think the Cubs are playing really nice right now. I'm a little worried about Matthew Boyd. He hasn't been good, but then again, Cade Orton has just come out of nowhere, and he's probably going to win NL Rookie of the Year. He's been ridiculous. So let's talk about the Reds. The Reds sitting at dead even 500 here, 76 and 76. They did just win 2 of 3 against the Cardinals. That is huge. They also, they did get swept by the A's, which is really unfortunate for them. They kind of needed to win that series. But before that, 2 of 3 against the Padres, 2 of 3 against the Mets. I mean, they're beating some of these teams that they would need to beat. The problem is you can't get swept by the A's when you're trying to make a late season wild card push. They're playing the Cubs today. They got a 3-game set coming up. They also have the Pirates coming to town, and then they go to the Brewers. Kind of a tough finish. We'll see if the Reds can hang on. I'm not sure if they will, just because Elly De La Cruz doesn't look great right now, and that's obviously a big, concern. The Cardinals, 5 games back of the wild card. They're a little banged up as well. Willis and Contreras, Mason Wynn, I believe, are both hurt. So I don't know how good I'd feel about the Cardinals making a crazy push. They also play the Brewers, the Giants, and the Cubs. That's even more brutal than the Reds. You're playing 2 of the best teams in baseball, and then the Giants, who are also trying to make a push at the same time. The Pirates are eliminated. We're not going to talk much about them. The NL West, the Padres were 1 game back of the Dodgers last time we made a video. Now the Dodgers have expanded that lead to 2.5. The Dodgers did just play the Phillies and did just lose the series. But the Dodgers are coming off a sweep against the Rockies. They just won 2 of 3 against the Giants, which is pretty big. They do play the Giants again, starting today, I believe, in a 4-game set. They got a tough road here to finish out. The Giants are a team, they're playing them 4 times, and they're a team that's trying to make that push to get over the Mets, which maybe they will. But 4 games on the road against the Dodgers is very tough. The Dodgers also have the Diamondbacks 3-game set, and then a Mariners 3-game set to close. So could the Padres potentially win this division? Let's see what their schedule has to offer down the stretch. The White Sox, a 3-game set against the White Sox. Then they got the Brewers, though, and then they got the Diamondbacks. So they basically need to sweep against the White Sox. You would have liked to win that series against the Mets there, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if the Padres can get over the hump. Let's talk about the Diamondbacks and the Giants. The Diamondbacks are 2 games back of the Mets right now. They're currently the closest team to jump the Mets. And I think, we were talking about the AL. The Guardians are right there with the Red Sox. The National League is very exciting because you got the Diamondbacks, the Reds, and the Giants all right there with the Mets 2 or 2.5 games back. The Diamondbacks, to close out the season, have the Phillies, the Dodgers, and the Padres. That is pretty brutal. We'll see if they can make some magic happen. I really don't know if they will, although Corbin Carroll's been playing really well. Obviously, they have Ketel Marte. They got a lot of guys. Geraldo Perdomo has been really good this season, but that schedule's really hard, especially with them selling at the deadline. You kind of wonder what would have happened if they didn't sell. Then we got the Giants here at dead average, just like the Reds were. The Giants close out the season with a much more manageable schedule now. They're going to have to win at least 1 or 2 of these games against the Dodgers here in this series. But after that, they're playing the Cardinals and the Rockies in 2 3-game sets, both of them being at home for the Giants. That helps them a lot. I think the Giants may have the best chance to jump the Mets, as crazy as it is to say, just because of the nature of their schedule being pretty light. Especially if they can win, if they could just split this 4-game series with the Dodgers, that'd be huge for them. But let's go ahead and look at the playoff bracket as it speaks right now. We were talking about a lot of the wild card scenarios, but this has been the 12 teams in the playoffs, or it feels like the past month or two. And I was saying last episode, I think these are almost, everything but set. I think, all these teams are, pretty. I'm pretty confident this is going to be the 12 teams we have. At this point, I'm not sure because, you have the Guardians getting hot. You have the Diamondbacks, Reds, Giants right there for the Mets, and the Mets aren't playing very well. So I'm going to take that back. I think there could be some magic. I think the Guardians could definitely get in. I think, the Mets could definitely fall out. But this is the 12 teams we have in right now. Starting off with the Mariners, Red Sox. The Red Sox, I do like them. I did just pick the Red Sox too. I think the ALCS or the World Series in an episode or 2 ago. But at this point, I can't go against the Mariners. They're looking so hot. I got to take them. Yankees, Astros, I was back and forth on this one. I'm not too in love with how either of these teams are playing right now. I'm going to go with the Yankees just because I think they have the better offense. And I think in the clutch, I trust them more. They did make the World Series last year. I know that was last year. It's very different for baseball, whatever. But I think the Yankees are just slightly the better team. So I'm going to take them. I may trust the Astros a little more, but I'm going to take the Yankees. Dodgers, Mets, pretty easy for me. I'm actually not in love with the Dodgers this season, but I don't like how the Mets are playing right now. It feels like they're doing everything to get out. Although, I got to give them some credit. They did just beat the Padres in this series. That's huge for them. Their schedule is pretty favorable down the stretch, so we'll see. Obviously, I'd like the Mets to get in. This is 2 huge brands, and Soto, Lindor, those Pete Alonso, all these guys are playoff risers, so it could potentially get interesting. But I'm going to take the Dodgers right now. Cubs, Padres. Thought about this one for a while. I usually take the Padres. I'm going to take the Cubs. I think they're getting hot right now. You're going to have it at home. They're about 5.5 games ahead of the Padres, so it's a pretty significant gap there. They're going to get it in Wrigley. I don't want to play. If I'm a team, I don't want the Cubs to get hot because I don't want to have to play the Cubs in Wrigley in October. I don't want to have to play the Cubs if they're hot, because we saw when they were the best team in baseball for a while early in the season. And if the Cubs are getting close to that again, which I'm not saying they are, but, kind of saying they are, we'll see what happens. Now, Seiya's not, getting to where he was, but the rest of the team is really stepping up, and especially PCA. He looks like he's back, which is very exciting as a Cubs fan. Mariners, Tigers. Not loving how the Tigers are playing right now. I am loving how the Mariners are playing, so for that reason, I'm going to take the Mariners. Like I always say, in baseball, a lot of the times it's just who's the hottest team coming in, and I think the Mariners are probably the hottest team coming in. So I'm going to take the Mariners over the Tigers actually pretty easily here, because I feel like the wild card teams always end up beating the teams on bye as well, just because they get some momentum going. Yankees, Blue Jays, kind of for the same reason. I'm going to take the Yankees. I just think they get the momentum going, getting some games under them in the playoffs. The Blue Jays are right now without Bo Bichette, so that hurts them for me. I'm going to take the Yankees here to get it done. I'm not sure how I feel about the Blue Jays this season. They are very good at home, though, so maybe I should take them. The Dodgers, Phillies. This is two just absolutely stacked rosters. But who do I think is the better team? I think it's the Phillies. I think the Phillies are playing amazing right now. They've been playing amazing all year, but especially right now. They're going to have the home field. Those Philly fans are ridiculous. They might have the best home record in baseball. Yeah, they do. Doesn't surprise me. Them and the Blue Jays. So I'm going to take the Phillies at home here. Cubs, Brewers. I've been saying this even when the Cubs were cold. If the Cubs do get past the Padres, I'm picking them to beat the Brewers. Now that the Cubs are getting hot, maybe I'm biased. Maybe it's just because I love the Cubs. I hate the Brewers. I'm taking the Cubs to the NLCS. I think they're getting hot right now. The Brewers always tend to fall off in the playoffs. And like I said, even when the Cubs weren't playing their best, I said, if the Cubs get out of the wild card series and get the Brewers, I think they are going to beat the Brewers. And I think the Cubs will beat the Brewers here. I'm predicting it. I got the Cubs to the NLCS right now. Mariners, Yankees. Interesting. The AL, I feel like the NL is always the same. I always predict the same thing. The AL is always just switching every time because I really don't know with the AL. I'm going to take the Mariners right now. I took the Yankees. I feel like I've been taking the Yankees to the World Series a lot recently. I'm taking the Mariners. Look at how they're playing, man. Eugenio Suarez is raking. Cal Raleigh is obviously, maybe the best power hitter in baseball right now. Aaron Judge is going to have something to say about it, and they're playing each other in this series. This would be fun, man. Seattle versus New York. We don't see Seattle get this deep into the playoffs, but I think they're getting hot at the perfect time. I just love the power on this team, and not to mention, the Mariners' recipe for success has been pitching. They've always had the best pitching rotation in the league, but their offense has sucked. Well, now their offense is really, really solid, and they hit a lot of home runs. I'm taking the Mariners. They're just coming off an 11-game win streak. Can't ignore that. I'm taking the Mariners to the World Series right now. Phillies, Cubs. Wow, this would be fun. Philadelphia versus Chicago, two of the biggest fan bases in the league. Maybe the two biggest. Definitely both these teams are, probably top 5 in terms of fan base sizes. But ultimately, I don't trust this Cubs team to get to the World Series right now. I just don't think they have enough. I think they're missing something. I don't know what it is. It's probably the bullpen, actually. I just don't know if I can trust it. I do know I can trust the Phillies bullpen. I do know I can trust the Phillies rotation. And I don't know how, Cade Orton will play in the playoffs. I don't know how some of these guys who, PCA, I don't know how he's going to play in the playoffs. Suzuki, has Nico Horner ever played in the playoffs? I'm not even sure about that. So, actually, I think he has. But nonetheless, a lot of these guys on this team have not played really in a playoff series or, at least in a playoff series with the Cubs. I don't know, what's going on with Kyle Tucker. I think he's injured right now. I can't go against the Phillies as much as I would like to. As much as I would like to see the Cubs go to the World Series. But I do have to take the Phillies at this point. And I do think the Phillies are just the better team than over the Mariners. I've been taking the Phillies a lot this season. I think I'm probably going to go ahead and take the Phillies to win the World Series come playoff time unless some crazy injuries happen or some crazy stories or, it's just a really bad matchup, something like that. But at this point, I feel pretty good about the Phillies. I'd feel way better if Zach Wheeler was in. which makes me worry to pick them. But like I said, sometimes in baseball you got to be the hottest team. I know the Cubs are getting hot. I know the Mariners are the hottest team. I know the Guardians, they're not in here, but they're hot as well. The Phillies are just, very equally as hot. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're playing amazing baseball right now, and I think they are the best team in the league right now as we speak. But that's going to do it for episode 6 of MLB All Around. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think the Guardians or any of the NL teams will sneak in over the Mets and the Red Sox, the two teams holding the final wild card spots at this point. Let me know who you have winning the World Series right now and who are your kind of dark horses, sneaky teams. What do you think about my predictions? Let me know all that down there. I'm going to try to get, for sure one of these videos every week, maybe even 2. We'll see. But as well as college football every Tuesday, NFL every Wednesday. We also do NBA and college basketball when those seasons are going. And when those seasons are going, we're doing those every week as well. So it's a good time to join the community, good time to subscribe to the channel, turn on the noties, to make sure you don't miss any of our content, because there's a brief stretch of the year where we're posting 5 times a week, and that stretch is coming very soon. So, thank you so much for watching. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.